But welcome back. 25th, of April, 1871. Cleveland Forest Cities at Troy Haymakers. Let's go over the starting lineup for the Cleveland Forest Cities. Leading off will be the center fielder, Dave Egler. Your infection spreads, crack. Is that what it is? Yeah, very much so. I am definitely down with the sickness, if that's the case. Batting second, the left fielder, Fred Cohn. Catcher Deacon White will bat third for Cleveland. And batting fourth will be the pitcher, Al Spalding. Fifth will be the shortstop, Chick Fulmer. Batting sixth, second baseman, William Johnson. Batting seventh will be the first baseman, Denny Mack. Right fielder, John Glenn, will bat eighth. And the third baseman, Francis Abercrombie, will bat ninth. Over on the Troy Haymakers side, Jimmy Hollanen will bat first. He's the shortstop. Right fielder Clipper Finn is in the 2 spot. Batting third will be Ezra Sutton, the third baseman. Fred Tracy, the left fielder, bats fourth. Fifth will be Jim Foran, the first baseman. You're off to get some sleep, crap. Thank you for the raid, man. I know it's late over there. It's 1 o'clock, man. So I totally get it, man. Have a good night's sleep. Take care of yourself, brother. And I'll talk to you soon. Good night. Second baseman Bill Craver bats sixth. The center fielder Patty Quinn is batting seventh. Catcher Bill Lennon bats eighth. And the pitcher Harry Wright is batting ninth. Let's get into it, shall we? Troy and Cleveland, 66 degrees. That's nice. How nice that is. That's like a solid 18. And the first pitch is outside for a ball. It'll be 0. And one. I'm sorry, it'll be 1-0. Here's the 1-0 from right. That's inside. Ball 2. 2-0. The 2-0 pitch. Down low for a ball. Ball 3. Here's the 3-0 pitch. At the knees for a called strike. 3-1. The 3-1. Grounded back up to the mound. And the shortstop flubs it. And we start today's game with an error. An E6. Oh, I've just wrote that in Hollanen's, and he's not batting. I'm on the wrong side of the book here. That's Dave Egler that gets aboard with the single, and that is the shortstop, Jimmy Hollanen, who has the error. Jimmy Hollanen, if you guys remember, in the last night's game, he committed 3 errors for Troy. He has not really been too solid. He was not solid defensively. The first game we commentated him, he did not make a single error, and last night he made 3. That brings up left fielder Fred Cohn. He is 2 for 8 so far this season with an RBI. First pitch grounded over to the first baseman, and he will take it himself for the first out of the inning. Over on second and arriving in time is Dave Egler, but it is 1 out here in the top of the first. Here's the first pitch to White. That's taken for a strike. The attempted steal to third. Nice. He gets there. It's a stolen base for Dave Egler. He steals third. This is Deacon White at the plate, 2 for 8 so far this season. Here's the pitch. That's popped up in the infield. Coming in for it's the second baseman, and he will make the play. 2 down here in the top of the first. Here's Al Spalding, the pitcher. He takes first pitch for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's taken for a strike. 0-2. Here's the 0-2. Low for a ball. 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on. That's flied out into right field. And the right fielder has it, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits. They leave 1 aboard. We go to the bottom of first in a scoreless game. Jimmy Hollanen will be due up first for Troy. He's batting .286 after their opening 3 games. Here's the first pitch to him from pitcher Al Spalding. 1-1, 3.06 ERA. First pitch is swung on and missed, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's taken in the dirt for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. On the inside corner, strike 2. Here's the 1-2. Swung on, grounded over to the second baseman. He knocks it down, but it is a base hit. It's going to get recorded as a single because it was so sharply hit. It was a tough play for the second baseman to make. Not expected that he could have made that force out every time, and so Jamie Holland gets credit for the hit. And Troy have the leadoff runner aboard, leadoff batter aboard. That'll bring up Clipper Finn. He's batting 154 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That is taken outside for a ball. 1-0. 1-0. Grounded foul down first base side. There's the 1-0. That is taken for a ball. 1-1. Or 2-1, I'm sorry. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on into right field. Base hit. And Clipper Finn follows it with a single himself. So Troy get runners on first and second here. Nobody out. That'll bring up Ezra Sutton, who is batting 1 for 14 so far this season. First pitch. That's bunted foul. Here's the 0-1. That's bunted down. Pitcher's got it over to first in time for the out. So Ezra Sutton on a fielder's choice. Advances the runners. Hollandin's at third. Clipper Flynn's in second. And there's 2 runners in scoring position here with only 1 out. That'll bring up Fred Tracy next. He is 2 for 12 so far this season. 2 RBIs. First pitch in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the pitch. Swung on. That's lined into center field. Base hit. 1 run will score. Flynn goes to third. He will be held up there. And Fred Tracy comes through with an RBI single. And Troy right away take the lead here, 1-0. That'll bring up Bill Craver, the second baseman. I'm sorry, that'll bring up Jim Foran. He is the first baseman. And he is batting 5 for 13 so far this season. Runners on the corners with just 1 out. First pitch is a called strike. The throw over to second is not in time. And Fred Tracy's got himself a stolen base. Runners in second and third. 1 out. Here's the 0-1. That's grounded over to the third base side. And it's safe. It's an infield single. And it's Foran with an RBI. Scoring on the play will be Flynn. Going to third is Fred Tracy. And it's 2-0 Troy. That brings up Bill Craver. 5 for 14 so far this season. Throw over to first, and the runner's back safely. Here's the first pitch. That's a strike. Runner wanted to go there. Here's the 0-1. That's inside for a ball, 1-1. The 1-1 pitch. Swung on, fouled back behind home plate. It'll be 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Outside for a ball, 2-2. Here's the 2-2 throw over to first, and the runner is back safely. Throw over to first. Runner's in there. Here's the 2-2. That's grounded right in front of home plate. Going to second, and he's got him at second base. Bill Craver will be aboard via a fielder's choice. That is Foreign, who is out. Tracy was not able to score on the play, and so he's still at third now. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. That'll bring up Patty Quinn. He is batting 4 for 10 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. Swung on, popped up to the shortstop. And he gloves it there, and that will retire the side. 2 runs on 3 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the top of the second with the Haymakers now 2-0 in front. Due up first for Cleveland will be Chick Fulmer. He is 2 for 9 so far this season. Here's the first pitch to Chick Fulmer. That's outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed, and that's 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's grounded into the gap, into left field, and Chick Fulmer is aboard with a single here, a leadoff single in the second. Oh, and the outfielders made an error. That's an error, a fielding error on the left fielder, Fred Tracy. And so with that fielding error, Chick Fulmer actually goes to second. So runner in scoring position, nobody out. William Johnson up to the plate next. He is 2 for 8 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. And it's outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0, taken for a called strike, 1-1. Here's the 1-1, inside for a ball, or that's taken for a called strike, 1-2. 1-2 pitch, grounded back towards the shortstop. It's a throwing error on the shortstop. Oh no, and it's double bases as well. William Johnson aboard on an error, and then also brings home Chick Fulmer. And just like that, Cleveland gets one back. Jimmy Holland in now with 2 errors in 2 innings today. And that's runner on second with still nobody out. Denny Mack will come up to the plate. He is 3 for 6 so far this season. First pitch is a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's grounded foul back behind home plate. 1-1. Throw over to second, and the runner's back in time. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's down low for a ball, 2-1. Throw back to second, and the runner is back there safely. Here's the 2-1. That's grounded over to third base. Over to first, and that's in time for the out. Johnson not able to advance. That's 1 out here in the second. It brings up John Glenn, batting 2 for 6 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That is grounded foul down third base side. The 0-1 taken low for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Grounded back to the shortstop. He's fumbled it. John Holland with a 3-error game already, and we're only in the second inning. Johnson's not able to advance, but it does get Glenn aboard. Now there's 2 aboard with 1 out. That'll bring up Francis Abercrombie, the third baseman, batting 2 for 7 this season. First pitch is in there for a called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1, taken inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Home plate umpire says he swung, and that is strike 2. Here is the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. Second out of the inning. That'll bring up Dave Egler, who reached on an error his first at-bat. Here's the pitch. What's up, Pix? That's outside for a ball, 1-0. Pix, welcome to Retro Baseball, my friend. Welcome in. Let me get you a shout-out while we're here. Guys, give Pix a follow. Great streamer.
Chance.
Plays Football Manager.
Goal of the season was Falcao's. Can we see that?
I played through the Oblivion remaster as well.
Welcome
so
in,
definitely
Lily.
check him out.
Oh, we can.
Fun streamer. What's going on, Pix? My weekend was good, man. How was yours? My weekend was pretty good. I'm trying to remember what we did this weekend. I went golfing. That was okay. It was golfing itself was fun. The round took 5 hours though, and that was not fun because the group in front of me was so slow. And weather was but the weather was really good on Saturday for it. Yeah, I just was annoyed that it took me 5 hours to complete a round of golf. You know, and then the Union went top of the table, so I can't complain, man. How are you? How was your weekend? What'd you get up to, man? Right, here's the 1-0. That swung on and popped up towards the second baseman. Over there will be Bill Craver. He makes the out. That'll retire the side. 1 run on 1 hit, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom of the second, and Troy leading by a score of 2-1. Good. Had some food with some friends. I hadn't seen it. That's awesome, actually. That's awesome to hear. Right. I thought of an idea, and the idea was that, much like in real baseball, I could just run the ads every inning, like a 30-second, or maybe every half inning. I was thinking about that, but I might start doing that at the end of this half inning, because they're coming up in 19 minutes anyway. First up will be Bill Lennon for Troy. He has yet to record a hit in his 11 plate appearances so far, or at-bats so far this season. Picks, we are in 1871, my friend. It is 10:38 in the morning in Troy, in New York. And it is the Cleveland Forest Cities against the Troy Haymakers here. Troy 1-2, Cleveland 1-1. They dropped their first game against Troy on a walk-off last night. But Troy do not have great pitching, and that tends to be the Achilles heel. We'll see what happens here. That'll be the first pitch to Bill Lennon coming up. And he's hit by the pitch. Bill Lennon has been hit by the pitch. Can you believe it? First pitch of the inning, and they give him a base runner. Bill Lennon drilled, and he's aboard with nobody out. That brings up Harry Wright, the pitcher, who is 2 for 5 in so far this season. First pitch in there, called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That swung on into right field. Going foul, and it will land foul. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Pop foul behind home plate. Here's the 0-2. That's lined right at the second baseman for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Jimmy Hallinan. He singled in his first at-bat. Here's the pitch. He's going to bunt it down. Over to first in time for the second out of the inning. Bill Lennon goes to second base. But now there is Only a runner in scoring position, but 2 outs. That'll bring up Clipper Flynn. He singled his first at bat as well. Here's the first pitch. Swung on, grounded over to first base. Taking himself is Denny Mack, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits. They leave one aboard. We go to the top of the third. It is 2-1 Troy. We'll be back with the top of the third in 30 seconds time. Right. Welcome back. Top third leading off will be Fred Cone. He grounded out to the first baseman, his first at bat. First pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Taken for a strike, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's chopped foul behind home plate, 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's swung on, grounded right up the middle, through the gap into center field. And Fred Cone is aboard with a single. Leadoff single here in the third for Fred Cone. That'll bring up Deacon White over to first, and the runner's back. White popped up to the second baseman, his first at bat. Here's the pitch. That's inside, ball 1. The 1-0, inside, ball 2. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swung on, that's lined into right field. That'll be a base hit. Over to second goes Cone. And it's back-to-back hits for the Cleveland Forest Cities here to start the top of the third inning. Here's first pitch. That's lined into center field. Another base hit. Al Spalding, the pitcher, getting in on the hitting. Over to third goes Cone. Deacon White will go to third, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. That'll bring up Chick Fulmer, who singled in his last at-bat. Here's the first pitch. Swung on. That's lined right at the shortstop. Over to third, and that is safe. So that's the first out of the inning. Here's the first pitch to Johnson. Swung on and missed. That's 0-1. Johnson reached via an error his last at-bat. Here's the 0-1. Swung on. That's lined into left field. That's a base hit. William Johnson comes through for Cleveland. Scoring will be Fred Cone. Deacon White holds up at third. Spalding goes to second. And that is an RBI single that ties this game at 2. That'll bring up Denny Mack. He grounded out his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. Swung on, that's popped up over to the first base side. And gloving it will be Jim Foran, and that is going to be out number 2. That brings up John Glenn. He reached via an error his last at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's taken high for a ball, 1-0. 1-0 pitch. That's lined right at the shortstop, and he's got it to retire the side. 1 run on 4 hits, and they leave them loaded. We go to the bottom of the third. It's a 2-2 ball game. 2 up first for the Troy Haymakers will be Ezra Sutton coming up, and that'll be Ezra Sutton, who's fielder choice, grounded into a fielder's choice, his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's taken outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's popped right at the first baseman for the first out of the inning. Denny Mack on the put, and that's out number 1. That brings up Fred Tracy. He had an RBI his first at bat. I can't remember what he did. I think he singled his first at bat. I got to change that. I have 3 hits. It's 4 for the first inning. Right. He singled his first at bat, so he's got a RBI. Here we go. First pitch in there for called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Swung on it, miss. 0-2. Batter's in the hole. 0-2. Here's the pitch. That's lined right at the third baseman for out number 2. Francis Abercrombie gets credit for the put. That brings up Jim Foran, an RBI single in his first at bat. God damn it! I just got a friend request, and I think it's on Discord, and I think it's scam. I think these all seem to come from Toxic Bunny's Discord either. Let me disable streamer mode so I can actually look at it. Yep. Give me a second while I report them. Real quick, before I do that, let me see, when did they join? Because you can usually see when they joined. They just joined today. Right. Sorry about that. And when you turn your message, if you don't have it, this is a tip for all those out there, by the way. If you don't, when you join a new Discord, right? There's the potential that, or when you join a new Discord, the setting automatically is on that you accept direct messages from anybody else that's on that Discord with you, right? Most Discords, that's fine, especially if it's a private Discord. That's really not a problem, but you are going to get people that find their way into them, especially for streamers. You're going to get people that find their way into that Discord, and then they will literally just start sending messages if you have that turned on. A lot of it's going to be some kind of Steam gift card link that is meant to try and steal your login token so they can hack your account. If you turn that option off, they have to friend request you first before they can send you a message. And I highly recommend any server that you are on that is not your own individual run server, you should turn that option off and make people send you the friend request, because then it makes them it makes it a lot harder for them to try and scam you. So if you just get an unsolicited friend request from somebody you've never talked to or who's just joined the server for the very first time or within the last 24 hours, 99.9% of the time, that's scam spam. So, right, let's continue on. It's Jim 4 in here who, as an RBI single, is first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's taken outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's called strike 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Low for a ball, 2-2. Counts even, 2-2. Here's the pitch. That's popped up right at home plate. And Deacon White will make the play. And that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down for Troy. We go to the top of the 4th. And it is a tie ball game. We'll be back with the 4th in 30 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. I keep running these ads, by the way, and it's not delayed the incoming ad break. It should have. It should have delayed the incoming ad break, but it is what it is. Just got told one of my friends is after getting struck out his medical license. He made one mistake. What? Crack. What the crack? What? You are gonna make me add. You're gonna wind up making me add a rule to my channel rules, which are already lengthy, that says no NSFW talk. God damn it, Track. Or Crack. I just called you Track. I don't know why. Francis Abercrombie is the first up. He struck out his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's outside for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Inside. Ball 2. 2-1 now. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Lined into right field. And that will be the first out of the inning. Clipper Flynn gets credit for the put, and that is the first down. That'll bring up Dave Egler, who reached on an error and popped out and is only 2 at bats. 0 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch. That's swung on and missed, 0-1. That joke went over my head, Crack. That second pitch inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to third base. It's in for a base hit into left field. And Dave Egler is aboard. that should be Dave Egler. Yep. Might go to an Iron Pigs game this summer. Let's go. Was that Dave? I got Fred Cohn up next. Yeah, that was Dave. He's aboard on first. Let's go. Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Is Lehigh Valley far from you, Pigs? Isn't that like a little bit of a trip? Right, that brings up Fred Cohn. He's 1 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch. He swung on and missed. It's 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's bunted down. Going for second, but not in time, and it's going to be a hit. They can't get the ball to second in time. Egler will advance to second base. Fred Cohn's aboard. An hour and a half or so? That's a bit far. Do you guys not? Is that the closest minor league team to you, Picks? That'll bring up Deacon White, who is 1 for 2 so far today. There's got to be something up in like northern New Jersey. Surely, right? First pitch inside for a ball. No, we have a few Jackals in Montclair, Somerset Patriots. That's right. Lehigh Valley, is that? That's AAA, isn't it? Isn't that AAA? Because I think the Reading Phillies are AA, if I remember. Just got a friend who lives there. Oh, nice. Right, here's the here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. 1-1. I used to have a friend, oddly enough, who lived around Somerset, New Hope. She would bounce between the two, Somerset and New Hope. And I used to go see her quite a lot, actually. Then we had a massive falling out, unfortunately. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's deep and caught on the warning track for the second out of the inning. Patty Quinn gets credit for the putout, and now that'll bring up Al Spalding, the pitcher. He is 1 for 2 so far today. First pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's it's a pass ball, and advancing is the runners. So it goes in the dirt. The catcher, it was down low, I should say. The catcher couldn't stop it. And they go, the runners go into scoring position. We did get the ads, okay. Blimey. Right. I'm going to finish the at-bat and then we'll take the break. So let's go. This is the 2-0. Lined over to the shortstop. And that is a throwing error on the shortstop. A disastrous throwing error by the shortstop. Jimmy Hallinan. They got to work on his fielding, man. Jimmy Hollinan's made 4 errors today. It's only the 4th inning. Scoring on the error is Dave Egler. Scoring on the error is Fred Cohn. And Al Spalding goes to second base on the error. Nasty work. And just like that, it's 4-2 Cleveland. That'll bring up Chick Fulmer, who is currently 1 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch to Fulmer. That's in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Swung on. Grounded over to the third baseman. Another throwing error. This time on the third baseman. And the ball goes all the way to the dugout. And Spalding will score. Fulmer's going to go to second. That's Ezra Sutton who makes the error. The 6th error for Troy. And it's 5-2 Cleveland. William Johnson next at bat. He is 2 for 3 with an RBI. Or 1 for 2, I should say, with an RBI. Harry Wright's not getting the support he needs up here. This one's grounded over to the third baseman. Over to first in time. And that finally ends the inning. For those that were at the ad break, Spalding, a throwing error by shortstop Jimmy Hallinan, meant Spalding got aboard with a 2-base error. It scored Cone. It scored Dave Egler. It scored Fred Cone. He was on second then with 2 outs. And the third baseman, Ezra Sutton, made the exact same throwing error. Spalding scored. Fulmer went to second. And then William Johnson just grounded out to the third baseman. So it's 3 runs on just 2 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's now 5-2 for the Cleveland Forest Cities. Jimmy Hallinan for Troy now has 4 errors in this game, and he's made them all in the opening 4 innings. Due up first for Troy will be second baseman Bill Craver, who bunted into a fielder's choice his first at bat. Here's the first pitch to Bill Craver. Down low for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Swung on, and that's right at the shortstop for the first out of the inning. Chick Fulmer getting the put out. That is going to bring up Patty Quinn. He popped up to the shortstop his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. It's taken for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's grounded over to the second baseman. Oh, on to first, but it's a throwing error by the second baseman. And aboard will go Patty Quinn, who reaches the base safely. That brings up Bill Lennon. He was hit by the pitch in his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's in there at the lettering for a called strike, 0-1. Uh, 0-1 pitch swung on. That's into left field, but it drifts foul. The 0-2 pitch swung on. That's right at the third baseman for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Harry Wright. He lined out to the second baseman his first at bat. Here's Wright. Swung on. That's grounded foul. Here's the 0-1. Taken for a called strike, and it is 0-2. Here's the 0-2. Swung on. That's into right center field. That's a base hit. Harry Wright's aboard with a single. And that'll bring up Jimmy Hallinan. He needs to produce it with the bat because he hasn't with his fielding. That's a big reason, really the main reason why Troy are down right now. He's 1 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch. Swung on. That's grounded over to second baseman. That's through. And that is going to be an infield hit for Jimmy Hallinan. Wright moves to second. And that's Patty Quinn moves to third. And that's bases loaded here with 2 outs. Clipper Flynn will be the batter. He's 1 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch. In there for a called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Swung on. That's lined in towards the gap in left center. This is going to be runs. 1 run will score. That is Quinn. Coming around third is Wright. He's going to score. Hallinan goes to third. And it is a 2-run RBI for Clipper Flynn. Or 2 RBI double, I should say, for Clipper Flynn. And he has cut the Cleveland lead down to 1. Ezra Sutton is the next batter. He is 0 for 2 so far today. He bunted into a fielder's choice and lined out to the first baseman. Here comes the first pitch. That's outside for a ball. Almost got away from the catcher there. It went off the left side of his glove, and Thankfully, nobody will advance, and that'll bring up the 1-0 pitch. That's high and away for ball 2. Here's the 2-0 pitch. High and away again, ball 3. 3-0 pitch. That's taking all the way, and that's a strike. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swung on, that's lined into right field. That's deep. That could go. It's off the wall. It's off the wall in right field. Going all the way for 3, and he gets in there sliding. And Ezra Sutton has delivered a 2 RBI triple. Scoring on the play is Jimmy Hollenden. Scoring on the play as well is Clipper Flynn. And Troy regained the lead here, 6-5. That brings up Fred Tracy. He's had an RBI single, and he is lined out to the third baseman. Here's the first pitch to Fred Tracy. That's taken inside for a called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's grounded foul. Here's the 0-2. Swung on. That's grounded right back to the mound. Over to first. There's no play at first. There is no play at first. The shortstop, the second baseman, could not come forward in time for it. And it's another RBI for Troy. And Ezra Sutton comes home, and they've padded the lead. Jim Foran is next. They've batted around the order. He is 1 for 2 now in this game. Here's the first pitch. Throw over to first is back in time. Runner's back in time. First pitch is inside for ball. It's gone off the knee pad of the catcher, and Tracy moves up to second base. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Taken inside, ball 2. Here's the 2-0. Swung on, grounded over the first base, through his legs, all the way to the wall. Oh, that's lovely. And sliding in the second is Jim Foran, and he's got himself an RBI and an RBI double. That'll bring up Bill Craver. Here's the first pitch. That's in there for a strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed, 0-2. Here's the 0-2. Inside, ball 1. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's lined into right field. That's another base hit. Craver's got an RBI. Sorry, not an RBI. He's not got an RBI. He's got a single, though. And he's aboard. That brings up Patty Quinn. Reached on an error his last at bat. First pitch is in there for a called strike, 0-1. Throw back to first, and the runner is back safely. Here's the pitch. That's away for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Swung on, that's lined into right field. That is an RBI, and Quinn has delivered an RBI single. Coming home to score will be Jim Foran. And Bill Craver's gone to second. And that brings up Bill Lennon, who lined out to the third baseman his last at bat. There's been a pitching change as well. Frank Selman has come on for Al Spalding. Spalding done after 3 2/3 innings. Here's the first pitch to Bill Lennon. Swung on, that's into left field. That's, diving for it, but can't get it is Fred Cone, and that's going to be a double and more runs. It's an RBI double for Bill Lennon. And he's got himself aboard in second base. Going to third is Patty Quinn. That brings up Harry Wright, the pitcher. Here's the first pitch to Harry Wright. 1 for 2 so far. He fouled that off. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's taken inside for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Swung on and missed. 0-2. Here's the 1-2. That's taken inside for a ball. 2-2. The 2-2 pitch inside. Ball 3. Here's the 3-2. Swung on. Grounded foul. Here's the 3-2 pitch. That's lined in towards right field. That's foul. Here's the 3-2. Swung on, and that's grounded foul. The 8th pitch of the at-bat. That's lined into right field. More runs. Harry Wright has delivered with an RBI single. Scoring on the play is Patty Quinn. Bill Lennon's going to go to third. And this is a absolute can of worms here for Cleveland, as they've surrendered 9 in this inning. We go back to Jimmy Hallinan now, who is 2 for 3 so far today. Throw over to first, and the runner's back safely. Here's the pitch. That's inside, ball 1. Here's the 1-0. That's taken at below the knees for a ball. 2-0. 2-0 pitch. That's outside, ball 3. The throw over to second, and he's caught stealing. Harry Wright caught stealing, and that's going to finally retire the sign. They get 9 runs on 10 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the top of the 5th. It's now 11-5 for Troy. Due up first for Cleveland will be the first baseman, Denny Mack. He has grounded out twice so far today. Top of the 5th coming up in 30 seconds time, though. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. Top of the 5th, Denny Mack due up. Here's the first pitch. It's inside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's popped up. And why? That is foul. Few things this game needs to work on, foul balls being one of them for sure. Here's the 1-1. That's on the outside corner for a strike. It'll be 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's grounded right at the first base. It's through his legs. It's a base hit. Denny Mack is aboard. Mack now with his first hit in the game. That brings up John Glenn. Reached via an error and lined out to the shortstop. Cleveland could do with a moonshot here. Let's see how he does. That's first pitch hit right into right field, but it just drifts foul. That is going to be a ground ball over to shortstop. It's bad. It's a throwing error by the shortstop. Oh, my God. The throwing error by the shortstop. Mack goes to second. Glenn is aboard, and it's first and second with nobody out. What was the last baseball game you went to yourself? I went to the Phillies hosting the Colorado Rockies. Actually, Crack, there's an interesting app for that. Pix, if Pix is still in here, he told me about this app, actually. Let me see if I can get it up. It's called Memento. I love that app. Yeah, I got to remember to use it. I don't remember to use it all the time. That's my main problem, right? But it's called Memento, sorry. So if I go to my teams, is it? No, sorry. I guess it's profile? Yeah. If I go to profile, hold that thought 1 second. What the actual shit, Twitch? Right. Are you good? Are you done? Okay, good. Thanks, Twitch. All right, what's it for? No, it's for all. Jesus Christ. It's for all your teams. So I enter in it the teams that I go and see, right? And it keeps track of the records of every team that comes to the ballpark and all that sport. Any event you want. So I have 7 Union games and I have a Phillies game. So the Phillies game that I went to, there you go. There's the Phillies game I went to. 3rd of April, 2025. The Rockies at the Phillies. And if I remember correctly in that one, I don't think we walked it off, but I think we scored late, like 7th inning. I think is that game. Now my camera's all fucked up. So come on. Focus on me. I only need it for side, so Forza Football or One Football does. Fair enough. But yeah, it's neat. It's a neat app. So. Oh, that's neat picks. You're trying to see every MLS team, so it helps keep track of the ones I see. That's neat. The one thing I wish I didn't stop doing, and COVID put a stop to it. It's not really I stopped doing it. It's more COVID kind of put a stop to it. But I wish I kept scarf trading. I used to wait because they would hold the away fans 20 to 30 minutes, right? I don't know how long they hold them at Red Bull Arena picks, but for us it's only about 20 to 30 minutes. So I used to wait, and the away fans used to always come out the River Gate, and I would. Well, the World Series is big, but it's nowhere like the Super Bowl. No. If anything that would be like that, I would say the World Baseball Classic probably was like that, if anything. But that's once every 4 years, I think. But what do you call it? What was I saying? Oh, the scarf trading. Yeah, I used to wait, and I used to talk with the fans, and I used to ask them if they wanted to trade scarves after the game, and I would give them a Sons of Ben scarf, and they would give me whatever scarf they had on them. So, we'll see. But I do want to go back to doing that, but I also like I go with my dad, and there's not a place to sit there, and like he's getting older now, so like I can basically just ask him to get the 90 minutes of the game, and that's about it, right? So did that change because baseball was America's favorite game? So the NFL the NFL has hands down been the biggest sport in the U.S. for 4 to 5 decades, probably. Baseball's America's pastime, and the reason they call it that is because it's the oldest sport in the U.S. aside from like sailing. But on top of that, the baseball season runs pretty much March/April through to October/November, and the NFL runs September through February, so they don't really overlap. You know what I mean? And when they do overlap, you're either out of the playoff race by the time they do overlap, or you're in the playoffs, and the fans take great interest in baseball if you're in the playoffs. So that's why it's kind of. I don't think baseball is really comparable to NFL because NFL is 17 games, or 18 games now, isn't it? Isn't it 18 games? It's 17, isn't it? It's 18 weeks, 17 games, and the Major League Baseball is 162 games. So it's not really comparable because the seasons don't overlap. So I think that's why they're probably two of the biggest sport. Now, recently in the last 10 to 20 years, basketball has overtaken that. The National Basketball Association is probably the second biggest sport in the U.S. now. But it was, for a while, baseball has been one of the top dogs. So who do we have up? We have Francis Abercrombie up. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded right over towards. Oh, it's another error. They got to get this guy. I would have fired him by now. I would fire this guy. I'm sorry. It's James Hallinan, who has made 6 errors in this ball game. Hallinan, yesterday's game with Dave Hallinan, he made 3 errors. He was subbed out in the 9th after making 3 errors in the game. He has 6 in this game now, and we are only in the 5th inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, and 2 of those base runners are from errors by Hallinan. That brings up Dave Egler. He is 1 for 3 so far today. Here's the first pitch. That is in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's foul. Here's the 0-2. That is check swing, but he didn't go, and it's a ball. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Outside 2-2. It's a pass ball. Or no, I'm sorry. It's a wild pitch. The pitcher can't get to it. It's a wild pitch. Denny Mack, will score. Glenn goes to third. Abercrombie's over at second. And that is going to be a 2-2 count. Unless, Crack, you're thinking about the All-Star game, but I would argue the All-Star game doesn't have as big it's not a big thing, as it used to be. Although the interesting thing is, if you want to know, up until the MLS came into existence, no professional sports played a game the day before or the day after the MLB All-Star game. The 2-2 pitch is taken low for a ball. 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on. That's lined into center field. That's going to be a base hit. It's runs for Cleveland. Dave Egler comes through with an RBI single. Scoring will be John Glenn. Abercrombie goes to third. And Egler has brought in a run to make it 11-7. That'll bring up Fred Cohn, who's 2 for 3 so far today. He's got 2 singles. Here's the first pitch. That's up and in for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's outside for a ball, 2-0. 2-0. Swung on, hit deep into left field. Is it going to be fair? No, it just drifts foul. Here's the 2-1. Grounded over to the second baseman. It's another error. This time it's the second baseman who makes it. That's Bill Craver who gets credited for the error. The 10th error for, the 9th error for Troy. Scoring on the play is Francis Abercrombie. Going to second is Dave Egler. And it's 11-8. Here's the first pitch to Deacon White. That is inside for a ball. White is 1 for 3 so far today. Here's the 0-1. That's lined it. It's going to be more runs. It's into center field. And Deacon White has got himself an RBI single. It's not more runs yet, sorry, because Egler was on second. So he goes to third. Cone is on for the second, but it's bases loaded. And still, nobody is out here in the top of the 5th. Al Spalding is the next batter. He is 1 for 3. Here's the first pitch. Swung on and missed. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Called strike on the inside corner. 0-2. 0-2. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. Sorry, that wasn't Al Spalding. I beg your pardon. That was that would have been Frank Selman because he's the new pitcher. I forgot the right that he subbed in. What was that? He subbed in last inning, right? Yep. Here's Chick Fulmer, who takes the ball on the inside, 1-0. Fulmer is 1 for 3 so far today. He's grounded this one foul. It'll be 0-2 the count. Or 1-1 the count, sorry. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Taken outside for a ball. 2-1. The 2-1 pitch grounded up to another. This is just getting comical now. This is just comical now. Another error. Another one on the second baseman, Bill Craver. That's his second. It's Troy's 10th error. Scoring will be Dave Egler. Cone goes to third. White goes to second. And somehow Cleveland, who were down by 6, have pulled back within 2. That brings up William Johnson, who is 1 for 3 with an RBI. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over to first. They get the out at home, but safe at second. Or safe at first is the runner. So they get the lead runner. It'll be a fielder's choice for that's a 3-2 fielder's choice, not a 4-1. I wrote 4-1 like an idiot. That's a 3-2 fielder's choice. So they get the leadoff runner. And that's going to bring up Denny Mack, who's 1 for 3 so far today. Bases still loaded now, but 2 outs. First pitch, that's swung on back up to the hole. It's going to be more runs. Denny Mack delivers. Scoring on the play is Fred Cone. Deacon White goes to third. William Johnson's over at second. That's Chick Fulmer who's over at second. It's an RBI single for William Johnson. That brings up... Oh, I'm sorry. That was Denny Mack. I wrote it. Damn, I wrote it again under the wrong. Oh my God. I'm using the extra. I'm using the extra inning since we're batting around. It's throwing me all off. There'll be a substitution at the plate. Coming in for right fielder John Glenn will be Ed Bevins. Here's the pitch. And that is taken for a ball. There is also a pitching change. And that'll be Pony Sager, who comes in for Troy. He's the new pitcher. So both teams changing their pitcher up. You didn't do that a lot back then in the 1870s. Until baseball, until the MLB's formed in 1901, you really throw underhand. Like, the rules didn't really start changing until the 1900s. Right, this is the pitch to Ed Bevins. That's fouled. 1-1 pitch. Taken inside for a ball. 2-1. Back then, you had 11 balls to walk a batter. Inside, ball 3. And then it becomes, I think in 1901, it becomes 9 pitches. And then somewhere around like 1903, 1905, it becomes 5 pitches. And then right around the end of that decade, like 1909, they reduce it to 4 balls to get a walk, and then it just stays ever since. Here's the 3-1. That's a called strike. 3-2, 3-2. Here's a 3-2 pitch. That is a fair ball down the right field line. That's going to bring a lot of runs in, and Ed Bevins has delivered a 2 RBI double here in the 5th inning. Wow. Coming in to score will be Denny Meck. Coming in to score will be Chuck Fulmer. And just like that, it is 13-11. That'll bring up Dave Egler. He is 2 for 4 with an RBI. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Grounded up towards the second base. Another error. Another error. And it's from the same shortstop, Jimmy Hallinan, who now's got 7 to his name. 7 errors in this game for Jimmy Hallinan. 7. That's outrageous. Bevins is going to third on the error. And that brings up Fred Cohn. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Francis Abercrombie. This is now Dave Egler. First pitch is a called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's popped up. They might finally get out of this inning, Troy. And they do. Popped up to the third baseman, and that finally retires the side. Eight runs on 5 hits, and they leave the bases. They leave two on. We go to the bottom of the 5th. It is 13-11 for Cleveland. Due up first in the bottom of the 5th. We batted around the order, so I don't even know. It's Jimmy Allanen, the shortstop. We're going to be back with the top of the fifth, or the bottom of the fifth in 30 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Right, welcome back. Rockies are leading the Phillies. That's disappointing. Jimmy Allanen is the first player up here in the bottom of the fifth for Troy. He is 2 for 3 so far. Here's the first pitch. That's going to be into right field for a leadoff base hit. Allanen is aboard. And that'll bring up Clipper Flynn. He is 2 for 3 so far with 2 RBIs. Here's the pitch. He's bunting and over to first baseman. The second baseman comes over the cover, and that is the first out of the inning. Ezra Sutton is due up next. He is 1 for 3 with a 2 RBI triple in his last at-bat. First pitch swung on and missed. That's 0-1. Runner in scoring position, 1 out. 0-1 pitch. Called strike 2, and it's 0-2. Here's the 0-2. That's he's rung him up. He's out on strikes. Down looking. And a little backwards K action there. That brings up Fred Tracy. 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs in this game. Also got a stolen base. Here's the first pitch. Swung on. That's right back over the pitcher's head into center field. He is aboard with a single, Fred Tracy, and so it'll be runners on the corners with 2 outs. That brings up Jim Foran. He is 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs so far in this game. Here's the pitch. That's outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Swung on, and that's grounded foul. The 1-1. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2. 1-2 pitch. Outside for a ball. 2-2. The 2-2 is hit deep into center field. Going back as the center fielder, but he's got enough room. He makes the play, and the inning is over. No runs on 2 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the top of the 6th, and it's 13-11 for the Cleveland Forest Cities. Due up first in the inning is, it's Fred Cone. Fred Cone due up first. Here's the first pitch to Fred Cone. Outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 to Fred Cone. That's outside, ball 2. The 2-0 pitch. In the dirt, and it is 3-0. Here's the 3-0 pitch. And he's walked him. That was low for a ball, and he's walked him. He's aboard with a 4-pitch walk. That'll bring up Deacon White. He is 2 for 4 so far today. And that first one's inside, going over to second, and he's out at second base. Fred Cohn caught stealing on second base. Here's the 1-0. That's lined right at the first baseman for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Frank Selman. He struck out swinging in his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's down low for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Outside for a ball. It is 2-0. Here's the 2-0. Inside for a ball, 3-0. Here's the 3-0 pitch. That's grounded foul. Hitters count 3-1. Called strike at the knees, 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And that is down low for a ball, and Frank Selman gets aboard with a walk. That will bring up Chick Fulmer, who is 1 for 3 so far today. Over to first, and the runner's back. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed, 0-1. Here's the 1-0. Taken inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's grounded over to the second baseman. On to first, and the side is retired. No runs, no hits, and they leave one aboard. We go to the bottom of the sixth. It is 13-11 for the Cleveland Forest Cities. Due up first for Troy will be second baseman Bill Craver. We will be back with the bottom of the inning in just 30 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Oh, maybe not. Can't run ads yet. Whoops. Okay. I thought that was enough time. Let's continue on then. Bottom of the sixth, Bill Craver is up, and he's going to hit this over the head. That's going to be straight into center field for a leadoff single. Craver's aboard. That'll bring up Patty Quinn. Quinn is 1 for 3 so far today. Here's the first pitch. That's inside for a ball, and over to second goes Bill Craver. He stole second base. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's grounded foul. Here's the 1-1. That's a ball, 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's swung on and chopped foul behind home plate. Counts even, 2-2. That's fouled. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Inside, ball 3. Full count. Here's the pitch. That's lined deep into right field. That's hooking foul. Here's the 3-2. Inside, ball 4. And Quinn fights his way to a walk. That'll bring up Bill Lennon, the catcher. He is 1 for 1 so far today. No, I'm sorry. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Here's the first pitch to Bill Lennon. Inside for a ball, 1-0. And he's going to bunt this down. Pitcher's got it over to first, and that's a wild throw. The pitcher's made a wild throw. And Lennon is aboard on an E1. Frank Selman gets the error. Over to third goes Bill Craver. Over to second goes Patty Quinn. And the bases are loaded here with nobody out. That'll bring up Pony Seger for his first at bat. Here's the pitch. That's outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's grounded over to third base. They get the force at home, and they get the double play. The 5-2-3 double play. Patty Quinn goes to third. Going to second is Bill Lennon. And it's going to bring up Jimmy Hallinan. He is 3 for 4 so far today. Runners on second and third, and there are 2 outs now. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 to Hallinan. Grounded back up. Oh, what a diving stop by the... Oh, he's in there. He's in there. The pitcher couldn't get over in time. It was a great stop from the first baseman. Really slow to react from Frank Selman to get over the first. And that is going to be an RBI single for Jimmy Hallinan. Scoring on the play will be Patty Quinn. Over the third will go Bill Lennon. And that is runners on the corners now with 2 outs, but that's put Troy within 1. Here is Clipper Flynn. He is 2 for 4 so far today. First pitch is in there for a called strike, 0-1. Here's the pitch. Called strike, 0-2. 0-2 grounded over to the first baseman. He steps on the bag himself, and that will retire the side. 1 run on 2 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the top of the 7th. 13-12 Cleveland. We'll be back with the 7th inning in 2 minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Right, welcome back. It is the top of the 7th inning. Due up first for the Cleveland Forest Cities is going to be William Johnson. I don't know why, because Chick Fulmer was at the plate last inning, and then it was the inning ended on Cone caught stealing. Oh, you know what? I know why, because I wrote 4-3 under Al Spalding, and he went 4-3, and then Johnson was at the plate, and then Cone was caught stealing, so Johnson comes back for the at bat. Right, first pitch to Johnson. That is popped up into center field. And that'll be handled for the first out. Center fielder Patty Quinn on the putout. It's 1 out here in the top of the 8th, or top of the 7th. That'll bring up Denny Mack. Denny Mack. Denny Mack currently 2 for 4 so far with an RBI. Here's the first pitch. That's swung on, and that's fouled. Here's the 0-1. Inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Swung on, grounded over to the shortstop. On to first, in time. And that'll be the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Ed Bevins. Oh, we're getting another sub. George Hubel will step in. He's subbing in for Ed Bevins, who had 1 at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Called strike at the knees, 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's low for a ball, 1-2. Here's the 1-2. High for a ball, 2-2. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. And that'll retire the side. No runs, no hits, nobody left. It's 7th inning stretch time here at the Haymakers ground, where the score is Cleveland 12 and Cleveland 13 and Troy 12. It's time for everyone's favorite tradition. Take me out to the ball game. You heard the umpire play ball, and we will do just that as we get ready for this bottom of the 7th inning now. Troy trails by a run. Due up first for the Haymakers is going to be Ezra Sutton. Ezra Sutton. 2 for 5 so far. 1 for 4 so far today. 2 RBIs and a strikeout. Here's the first pitch. That's high and away for a ball. 1-0. 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's swung on and missed. It is 0-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's grounded over to shortstop. On to first in time for the first out. 6-3 on the putout. That brings up Fred Tracy. 3 for 4 so far today with a pair of RBIs. Here's the first pitch to Tracy. That is popped up foul. 0-1 pitch. That's lined over into left field, but drifting foul. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Or the 0-2 pitch, I should say, into dirt for a ball. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's grounded back up to the mound. On to first in time for out number 2. Jim Foran will be next. 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs today. Here's the first pitch. Swung on and missed. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Taken away for a ball. 2-2. Or 1-1, sorry. Here's the 1-1. That's taken inside for a ball. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's swung on, popped up, and drifting foul. And it will be foul. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Inside, ball 3, and the count is full. The payoff pitch. Swung on, grounded back to the shortstop. Over to first, in time, and that will retire the side. 3 up, 3 down for Troy. We go to the top of the 8th. It is 13-12 for the Cleveland Forest Cities. Due up first for the Forest Cities, Dave Egler will be back with the top of the 8th in 30 seconds time. Right, welcome back. Top of the 8th now. Dave Egler is the first. Francis Abercrombie is the first one up to bat. Here's the first pitch. That one's grounded over to the shortstop, and that is an error, a 2-base error. And who else to make the error? Who else but Jimmy Hallinan, who has now 8 errors. Troy have as many errors as they have runs. And that will be the main reason why they are first off, trailing this game. Only 11 hits for Cleveland as well. So, Hallinan gets Francis Abercrombie aboard. And that'll bring up Dave Egler. Here's the first pitch. That's taken outside for a ball. 1-0. Egler is 2 for 4 with an RBI today. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That is outside 2-0. 2-0 taken at the knees. 3-0. Below the knees even. Here's the 3-0 pitch. Check swing, but it's outside and it's a ball. And Dave Egler is aboard with a walk. A 4-pitch walk. That brings up Fred Cohn. 3 for 5 today. Here's the first pitch. That's lined up. That is foul. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's a wild pitch. And goes all the way to the back screen. Abercrombie goes to third. Egler makes it to second. And now it's 2 runners in scoring position. Nobody out here. Here's the 1-1. Swung on and missed. 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's inside. 2-2. Oh, no. Okay, almost a pass ball. Here's the 2-2. That is below the knees for a ball. 3-2. Full count. Payoff pitch. That's popped foul. Here's the 3-2. Grounded over towards the second baseman. And an error on the second baseman. Do you believe it? It's Troy's 13th error of the game. The runners on third and second don't move. It's Bill Craver's third error of the afternoon. And the bases are loaded with nobody out here in the top of the 8th. Cleveland with a chance to put this one out of reach. That'll bring up Deacon White, the catcher. 2 for 5 so far today. Deacon White takes the ball outside. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Grounded back up towards the second baseman. He gets at home. He's safe at first, so they get the lead runner. It'll be a fielder's choice for Deacon White. 4-2 is the putout. They do get the lead runner, which means Egler goes to third. Cohn goes to second. That'll bring up did I put for 11? I didn't mean to put for 11. I meant to put for 10. No, it was for 11. That'll bring up Frank Selman, the pitcher. Selman, he walked and struck out. He's 0 for 1 so far today. Here's the pitch. That is low for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Swung on and missed. 1-1. 1-1 pitch. That's popped up into center field. Could be enough to tag up the run. And it will be just that. Selman gets an RBI on the fly out to center field. Egler scores, and that is a little bit of breathing room for Cleveland. Chick Fulmer will be the next one up. He is 1 for 5 today. Here's the pitch to Chick Fulmer. That's foul. And that's grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to second for 1. Or over to second, and that retires the side. So, one run on no hits. And they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It is 14-12 for Cleveland. Due up first for the Troy Haymakers will be second baseman Bill Craver, who is 2 for 3 so far today. Here's the first pitch to Bill Craver. That's grounded foul. Here's the 0-1. Grounded over to second baseman. It's a throwing error. It's a throwing error on the shortstop, Chick Fulmer. And that's second base appearance for Bill Craver. That'll bring up Patty Quinn. Quinn is 2 for 4 so far today. Here's the first pitch to Patty Quinn. That's taken for a 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Inside, ball 2. A 2-0. Inside, ball 3. The 3-0 pitch. Called strike. 3-1. Here's the 3-1. That's lined in. That's lined foul. Full count now. Grounded over to second baseman. On to first. That's the first out of the inning. Craver does get to third, so he's 90 feet away with 1 out. That'll bring up Bill Lennon. Lennon is 1 for 2 so far today. 1 for 3 so far today with an RBI. Here's the first pitch. Grounded over to the second baseman. He's reached on an error. Another error by the second baseman. And William Johnson's got his second error of the afternoon. That'll bring up Pony Seger, who was 0 for 1. He grounded into a double play his last at-bat. Here's the first pitch. Outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Grounded foul. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Taken inside, ball 2. 2-1 pitch, outside for a ball, 3-1. And Pony Seger's giving himself a hitter's count here. 3-1, here's the pitch. That's down low for a ball. And Seger is aboard here. Going to second will be Bill Lennon. And the bases are loaded with 1 out. Jim Hallinan. The man has 8 errors today, but he's also got 4 hits with an RBI. Can he deliver more? 4 for 5 today. Here's the pitch. That's taken outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's grounded over to the first baseman. Over to home for 1. And over to first for the double play. 3-2-3 on the double play, and that is an absolute blow to the Haymakers that Cleveland get out of the inning without conceding despite loading the bases. We go to the top of the ninth, 14-12 Cleveland. Will be back in 30 seconds with the inning. Right, welcome back. Top of the ninth time here in Troy. William Johnson due up. He is currently 1 for 5 so far today. Here's the first pitch from Pony Sager. That's going to be lined into left field. It's going to stay fair. Extra bases for William Johnson, and he's got himself a triple. He slides in to third base with a lead-off triple for Cleveland, and they have a chance to really put this one beyond reach. Denny Mack is the next man up. He is 2 for 5 with an RBI today. Here's the first pitch, swung on and missed, 0-1. The 1-1 called strike on the outside corner, and it's 0-2. Here's the 0-2. That's taken in the dirt for a ball, 1-2. 1-2 pitch. That's going to get by the catcher. It's a passed ball. Coming in to score is William Johnson, and that is going to be a 3-run lead now for the Cleveland Forest Cities. Here's the 2-2. And that's down in the dirt for a ball, 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. That's the first out of the inning. That brings up George Hubel, the right fielder. He struck out his last at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Taken at the knees for a called strike, 0-2. Here's the 0-2. That's outside for ball 1. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded through the hole, back into center field, and Hubel is aboard. So base runner for Cleveland here with 1 out. Francis Abercrombie will be up next. There's been a change in the pitching. Joe Simmons is coming in on the mound. So Pony Sager subbing in for Harry Wright, sorry. Here comes first pitch. That's lined over into left field. And that will be out, number 2. Right, that brings up Dave Egler. He is 3 for 5 so far today. Oh, I'm sorry. No, he's 2 for 4 so far today. Here's the pitch. That's outside for a ball. Over to second base, and in there is Hubel. He stole the base. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. It's a 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's taken for a ball. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's low and in the dirt. 3-1. 3-1 count. Here's the pitch. Swung on. That's hit into right field. That's going to be a base hit. Egler is aboard onto first. Going to second. I'm sorry, going to third will be Hubel. And Cleveland got a runner 90 feet away now. That brings up Fred Cohn. Cohn is 2 for 5 so far today. Here's the first pitch. That's a ball over to second, and Dave Egler stolen the base. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's lined over, but foul. 1-1 pitch. That's lined up into left field, and it drifts foul. 1-2 pitch. That's popped up. Foul. Here's the 1-2. Chop foul again. Still 1-2. Here's the pitch. That's popped up over the head into center field. Base hit. Fred Cohn gets an RBI. He's got himself a single. Hubel will score the run. Over to third goes Egler. And it's 16-12. That brings up Deacon White. He is 2 for 6 in today's game. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over to the second baseman. On to first, and that retires the side. 2 runs on 4 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. 16-12 for Cleveland. Due up first for Troy will be Clipper Flynn. Flynn currently 2 for 5 so far in this game. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded foul. Here's the pitch. That's grounded foul. 0-2 pitch. That's flied into right field, and Clipper Flynn is aboard with a single here in the bottom of the 9th inning. They needed a base runner, and they've got that now. Still down by 4. Ezra Sutton will be up next. 1 for 5 in this game. As an RBI as well. Here's the pitch. That's in there for a called strike. 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. That's lined deep into center field. Still going. It's off the top of the wall. Ezra Sutton is going to score some runs. Potential for a triple. He's going to get into third base sliding. He is safe. And Ezra Sutton has got himself an RBI triple. Scoring the run is Clipper Flynn. And Troy have pulled one back here. They got a runner on third with nobody out. Fred Tracy coming to the plate. 3 for 5 in this game with a pair of RBIs. And our Troy starting to believe here. Here's the first pitch. It's into center field, coming in for diving and making the catch. Oh, man, what a catch. Dave Egler diving forward to make the catch. And that's the first out of the inning. That could have been a run and a single, and it could have gotten Troy a base runner on first and down by 2. It would have brought the tying run to the plate, but instead they remain down by 3. Runner still on third. Jim Foran now is due up. He's 2 for 5 so far in this game. Here's first pitch. That's high for a ball. Here's the 1-0. That's outside for a ball. 2-0. A 2-0 pitch in there for a called strike. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on. That's popped deep into left field. Still going. Drifting foul, and it will land foul. 2-2 pitch. That's grounded over towards the second baseman. On to first. That's the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up Bill Craver. He is 2 for 5 in this game. And Troy is down to their last out. Here's the pitch. That's popped up just outside of the infield. Making the play is Chick Fulmer, and that is going to finish the game. What was that? 1 run on 2 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. Final score here, Cleveland 16, Troy 13. One of the highest scoring games so far of the season. Could go down as the highest scoring game of the season. Troy were close, but 13 errors were their undoing. 8 by their shortstop, Jimmy Holland, and another 3 by their second baseman. That was enough to sink them in the end, and Cleveland will come away with the win here. Cleveland moved to 2-2. Troy fall to 1-3 now. Let's go over the box scores. We'll start with the pitchers. This is where I need the game's help. Spalding went 3.2 innings. 68 was his pitch count. Sorry. Did he walk anybody? He walked. No, he did no walks, no strikeouts. He gave up 12 hits, 11 runs. Only 2 of them were earned. Frank Selman, who gets the W. Frank Selman gets the win. He went 5 1/3 innings. He got his pitch count. I am at 84. Yep, that's correct. He walked 2, struck out 1, gave up 8 hits, 2 runs, of which only 1 was earned. Man, 3 earned runs out of the 13 for Cleveland. Right, Harry Wright. 4.2 innings pitched. I have his pitch count at 93. That's correct. He walked. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 2. He gave up 10 hits, 13 runs, and get this, only a single run of it was earned. Tony Sager, 3.2 innings pitched. I have his pitch count at 64. That's correct. Base on balls. He gave up 3 walks. Struck out 1. No, struck out 2. Sorry, struck out 2. Gave up 3 hits, 3 runs. On 2 of them were earned. And then Joe Simmons, 2/3 of an inning. I have his pitch count at 13. That's correct. He has no walks, no strikeouts. He gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, and no runs. Right. Now it's time to score up the individual batters. Dave Egler, 5 at-bats, 3 hits. He scored 3 runs. He's got no doubles, no singles. I'm sorry, no doubles, no triples, no home runs. He had 1 walk. He stole. He did not strike out. He stole 2 bases, and he had 1 RBI. Fred Cohn, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 at bats. No, 6 at bats. Sorry, 6 at bats. 6 at bats. Since 6 at bats for Fred Cohn. How many hits? 1, 2. He had 3 hits. He scored 3 runs. He had no doubles, no triples, no home runs. He had a base on balls. He did not strike out. He did not steal a base. He had 1 RBI. Deacon White. He had 7 at bats. He had 2 hits. He had no doubles, no triples, no home runs, no base on balls. He did not strike out. He did not steal a base. He had 1 run. Forgot that one there. And he had 1 RBI as well. Al Spalding only had 3 at-bats. He had 1 hit in that at-bat. He scored 1 run in the process as well. Chick Fulmer. He had 6 at-bats. He finished with 1 hit in those at-bats. He scored 2 runs. No strikeouts, no doubles, no triples, no home runs, no base on balls, no RBIs. William Johnson. He did finish with an error. William Johnson. 6 at-bats. 2 hits. He scored 1 run. He has 1 triple. No base on balls, no strikeouts, 1 RBI as well. He did not steal a base. Denny Mack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had 6 at-bats. He has 2 hits. He scored 2 runs. He has no doubles, no triples, no home runs, no base on balls. He struck out once, and he had an RBI. He did not steal a base either. John Glenn had 3 at-bats. He did not have a hit. He had 1 run. Francis Abercrombie had 6 at-bats. He did not have a single hit in those at-bats. He had 1 run. He struck out once. Frank Selman. He had 3 at-bats. No, he had 2 at-bats. Sorry. He had no hits. He had 1 base on balls, and he had 1 RBI. He also had an error. William Johnson, by the way, the second baseman for Cleveland, had 2 errors. Ed Bevins had 1 at-bat. It was a double. It was a hit, and it brought in home 2 RBIs. George Hubel, he had 2 at-bats. He had 1 hit. He scored 1 run. He stole a base, and he struck out. Final tally for Cleveland: 5, 11, 18, 21, 29, 35, 30, 41, 44, 49, 51, 52, 54 at-bats total. Runs 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hits 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16 hits. Of them, they had 1 double and 1 triple. They had 3 base on balls. Struck out 3 times. Stole 1, 2, 3 bases. RBIs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 RBIs. There you have it. Okay. Over to Troy. Jimmy Hallinan. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 at-bats. 4 hits in those at-bats. Scored 2 runs. All those hits were singles. No base on balls. No strikeouts. 1 RBI. Did not steal a base. 8 errors. Oh, I forgot the errors for Cleveland were 3. Sorry, the errors for Cleveland were 4. Right. Clipper Flynn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at bats. Had 3 hits in those at bats. Scored 3 runs. Had 2 RBIs. One of those hits was a double. Did not strike out. Did not steal a base. Did not walk. Ezra Sutton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at bats. 2 hits. Runs. 1 run. Both hits were triples, by the way. 3 RBIs, also struck out once. No base on balls. Fred Tracy. 6 at-bats for Fred Tracy. 3 hits. Of those, he scored, or in that process, he scored 1 run. Sorry, he scored 1 run. He also did not have a strikeout. He did not have a base on balls. He did steal a base. And he did have 2 RBIs. Also an error for Ezra Sutton, by the way. An error for Fred Tracy as well. Jim Foran. 6 at-bats. Of that, he had 2 hits. Of those, he scored 1 run. He had one of those hits was a double. No base on balls. No strikeouts. He also did not steal a base, and he had 1 RBI. No, he had 2 RBIs. Sorry, he had 2 RBIs. Bill Craver, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 at-bats. Of that, he got 2 hits. He scored 1 run. He had 1 stolen base. He also had 3 errors. Patty Quinn, 5 at-bats. I'm sorry, 4 at-bats. 4 at-bats. 4 at-bats. Scored 3 runs. Had 1 hit. Had a base on balls. And did not strike out. Did not have a stolen base. Had an RBI. Then you have Bill Lennon, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4 at-bats. 1 hit. That hit was a double. He had no runs. He had an RBI, no strikeouts. No stolen bases. Harry Wright. He had 3 at-bats. He had 1 run. He had 1 RBI. He had 2 hits. He was caught stealing once. Finally, Pony Seger. He had 1 at-bat. He did not get a hit in that at-bat. He had a base on balls. Right. Totals for Troy. 6, 12, 18. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 40, 44, 48 at-bats. For Troy, they scored 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13 runs. Hits, they had 4, 7, 9, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 20 hits. Of those hits, doubles. 1, 2, 3. 3 doubles. 2 triples, no home runs. Base on balls, they had 2. Strikeouts, they only had the 1. Stolen bases, They had 2. And RBIs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 RBIs as well. But here's the big kicker. Here's the big kicker. They committed 13 errors on the day as well. And there you have it. That's the final. 16-3. Cleveland have bested the Troy Haymakers. We're going to leave the game here. That one is in the books. 16-13. That's going to immediately prompt a save. We're going to continue to the next day. What is the next day? Nothing on the 26th. We continue to the next day, and this will be the next game. Tomorrow's game on this stream will be the 1-2 Boston Red Stockings against the 2-1 Cleveland Forest Cities. We go to the standings. The Philadelphia Athletics lead the American League. They're 2-0. Half game back is Cleveland Forest Cities, 2-1. Boston Red Stockings are 1.5 games back at 1-2. Washington Olympics have yet to play a game. In the National League, the Fort Wayne Kekiungas are 3-1. They lead the division. The Troy Haymakers are 2 games back at 1-3. The New York Mutuals are a game back despite not having played. Rockford Forest Cities are 1.5 games back. Chicago White Stockings are also 1.5 games back. Both of them 0-1. So that is the next game. It is the 27th of April, 1871. I am Ben Akagi. It's been a pleasure to bring this to you. We are done here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. We look forward to this 105 start between the Red Stockings and the Forest Cities in the next video. Until then, take care.